Unlike muffins, this is a hot oven. Set it to 425 and make sure it's preheated. This recipe calls for 2 cups of sifted flour. Make sure when you measure your flour, you heap it full and then place it into a sifter. Next, you will be using baking powder. Ensure that you use baking powder and not baking soda, as you will get a soapy taste if you use soda. Salt is your next ingredient, and here I use 5 mils, but because we're doing the cinnamon pinwheels, perhaps a little less salt. Next step, once you sift, is to use a fork to thoroughly incorporate all of your dry ingredients. When using your pastry blender, from time to time the butter will stick to your blender. Just get your hands in there and clear off the extra hard fat. You want to thoroughly combine the hard fat so it resembles pea-sized pieces and coarse sand. The reason why you want the coarse sand and pea-sized pieces is so that when your butter melts, it will form flakes throughout your pastry. It will layer upon melting between the flour. Next, you will be measuring milk, 3/4 cup. Please make sure you measure on a flat surface and at an eye level. Measuring your milk accurately is very important in this recipe. At this point, you gradually add your milk. Unlike the muffin method, you added your milk or your liquid ingredients all at once. But here, with a fork, you gradually add the milk in. Once you've added all of your milk, you're going to get in there with your hands, getting all those dry bits left that remain in the bowl. Using the heel of your hand, you're going to squeeze and mix so that everything combines together. On a lightly floured counter, you will take your dough, and it is not totally combined yet. We're going to need palm of the hand. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost. 10 times you're going to need, and you're going to leave it at that. Your hands are hot and you do not want to heat up your butter anymore. You want to make sure your pastry will be flaky. Your next step is to shape your dough. Here we are going to form it into a rectangle. Notice how I'm squeezing the sides to create a length on one side. So the long side is facing my body. With the rolling pin, I'm going to roll my rectangle long side to my body, starting in the center and working up and down. And perhaps if the dough starts to stick, a little bit more flour, and lengthening out into a long rectangle. Once your dough is shaped, it is now time for the filling. Your recipe calls for 75 mils of sugar. In your kitchen, you have an 80 ml measure, so you could actually do the 80 ml measure minus a little bit. With your sugar, you're going to add 7 mils of cinnamon. At this point, you're going to be using soft margarine. In the original recipe for the dough, you used hard margarine. Now you need soft margarine. If you do not have soft margarine at home, you can use hard margarine and slightly warm it up in your microwave at home. You mix your cinnamon and sugar together, And then using your hands, you're going to spread the margarine out completely over the dough. Be sure not to get the top edge of your dough. Once your margarine is thoroughly spread, you're going to take your cinnamon and sugar and spread it evenly over your dough and margarine. You do not need to add all the sugar. Perhaps even in this recipe it is too much. So make sure you use your judgment and keep your dish healthy. At this point, it's time to roll your cinnamon pinwheel. Starting at the side closest to you, you roll up. If it does start to stick, you do your best to get that dough off of the counter. Notice my edges. They have cinnamon and sugar all the way to the edge. It's that top 1 inch that does not. You need to make sure that edge is free of butter and sugar and cinnamon so that you can pinch the edges. Here we go. Pinching those edges, making sure you create a seal. Squeeze hard. Take your cinnamon log, once you've pinched it, and place it seam side down. You could squeeze it a little bit to lengthen it. At this point, you're going to take thread. Yes, thread, not a knife, because the thread gives you a brilliant, smooth cut. Cut your log in half, and then once again, cut in half. You will continue this process until all of your cinnamon pinwheels are uniform in size and thickness. Once you have cut all of your cinnamon pinwheels, place equally spaced on a parchment-lined cookie sheet and bake for 10 to 12 minutes until your cinnamon pinwheels are golden brown.